So you actually talk about something in terms of the end of your Belgium time, and we're about to go to the last country that you've been in, at least playing professionally so far. And it's kind of a roller coaster ride and where we're about to go. You join a club in Portugal, Immortal, 2020 to 2021 season after being with Antwerp. Uh, we talked about it off the pod. Successful there at first, but if you could kind of take us through the high points, and then we'll get to the low points as well.
So the high points was that, I mean, me and the team, like it was kind of like an instant gel. The Americans that they were cool guys. They had introduced me to, the city, to the town, small town. It was not really a small town, but it's a city called Albufeira in the south. It's a tourist city. I mean, the weather was beautiful. I really couldn't complain about any of that. Living situation was cool. Like stayed in the hotel, had my meals prepared for me, had like, it was nice. It was very nice, and going in there, I kind of had just changed my attitude of like, instead of second guessing, just go all out. You know what I mean? Like just play basketball, do what you do, like play at the highest level every game, day in, day out. And we were winning games. Like we had when I got there, they were 13-3, and I once I got there, we were even better. We were winning games, double digits, like several times. We had only one random bad loss, but it was, that was it. And then, we go to the cup semifinals and we're playing against Benfica. And, I'm having a great game, 15 points in the first half, playing extremely well. And I go up for a rebound, non-contact, and just, my knee just buckles. And once it buckled, like, you know, you don't really want to like wish the worst. You don't want to expect the worst, but you just like, I never felt anything like that before in my life. And I just kind of knew something was wrong. I was hoping that maybe it was just like, maybe a couple like maybe I jammed it, or maybe like, it might have been my meniscus or something else, but ultimately it wound up being my ACL. So that was kind of like the start of it. So once that happened, it took me a while to even like, for them to set like a surgery date. So I didn't have surgery until I want to say like later April. So, most times you get injured, you're trying to like, go in and fix that injury as soon as possible. I probably made it, maybe had to wait like 3 weeks, 2 weeks, to, get the news of like, when I would be getting my surgery done and by who. And so once I found all that out, first like going in, I was like, all right, bet. Like, you know what I mean? Let's do it. Let's get the surgery done. Like, let's get back. Like, this is gonna make me even better. Like, I'm gonna become, a better athlete. Like, this happens to tons of people. Like, you know what I mean? People have freak injuries, freak accidents all the time. Like, let's do it. Like, I'm not like, you know what I mean? I'm not scared. I'm ready. Like, I got a new challenge to look forward to. I could change my eating habits. I can like, get a different perspective. Like, obviously I'm gonna have to drop some weight. I'm gonna have to change this. I'm gonna have to do that. Like, I just got all these positive thoughts just flowing through my head. Like, I'm like, all right, bet, let's get it. And plus, like, they were like, we'll, pay for your housing. Like, you know what I mean? You get to be in Portugal for the summer. Like, why not? You know what I mean? I get to stay here for the summer, the good weather all the way around. Like, I'm right probably like 10 minutes from the beach. I can just like, just enjoy this whole process and work hard.
And at this point, this is kind of unusual for an overseas team too. But given the fact that you'd had a lot of success with them and the relationship was good, that this is something that you, as far as everything is sounding right now, this is pretty much about as good as you can do.
Like, thumbs up. You know what I mean? So basically, then I go, right? I get the surgery done. And obviously, I go to the rehab center. And the rehab center is like, I'm doing well in rehab, but then I'm also noticing that this isn't really like an athletic rehab center. This is kind of like a rehab center, like, for, maybe people who have everyday injuries or things like this and stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, you know what? Maybe this is just like, part of it. Then, like, they have a training staff, she's helping me as much as she can. But she also has her own job. So like, going through the whole process, like obviously I'm enjoying my time there because it's summertime. Like I can't be upset. Like, I'm still getting better. But as somebody who's never had a major injury before, I'm not sure how this process should look. Like I'm not sure how I should be progressing. I'm not sure like, what benchmarks I should be looking for, like how I should, be gauging my process and all that. So I'm kind of leaving it in their hands because they said they would take care of me. So basically the season comes around and I'm probably like, if I had surgery in April, season comes around September, and you kind of just you're like, all right, this is 6 months out. Like, you know what I mean? Like, or like 5 months out. So you're like, okay, maybe I should be jogging or something. So I start jogging on a treadmill. I start doing that because they're like, it's time, you're ready. So I start doing those things. I'm like, bet, cool. Like I'm feeling all right jogging, like that's fine. So then I get in the gym, I'm getting like shots up, stationary shots, nothing too crazy. And, the progress is slow. And then they get a new trainer, so he's like helping me with that as well. But then it's like at the same time, he can't delegate all his time to me because he has athletes that he has to worry about the team. So it's like I kind of like I'm not pushed to the side, but the attention that I should be getting, I'm not getting. You know what I mean? Especially for somebody who has no knowledge on this situation, who has no type of like history of having any major injury. I don't know. And this is actually at a time where like, I'm kind of just out there by myself. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's still kind of like pandemic rules. So like, family members tried to come out and see me, but it's like, if you don't have all your information or if you don't have your passport and then the other person's like, their information of where you're staying, you're getting denied access. So my mom tried to fly out there to like, come and support me and just check on me. And she couldn't get out there because she didn't have a certain form or something. And so being out there just by myself is like, all right, cool. Like, you kind of just trusting the process, maybe a cliche term, but that's what you're doing. So as the season is going on, like, you know what I mean? It gets to be around like November time and I'm like getting shots up. I'm still like, I'm not moving at full speed. And at this point, I'm like 9 months, 8 months out of surgery. So it's like for me, I'm just kind of like, maybe I'm just taking a longer time and I'm having like monthly checkups and I keep telling the doctor, like, I'm having the same pain in my hamstring, like, I'm having the same pain on the inside of my knee, like, and he's like, he does his checkups and everything. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, well, because you're a taller athlete, like, it's going to take more time. And I'm like, I can see where that's coming. Like, I can see like why a person would say that, but then also at the same time, like, that's not really the case because there's people who are taller than me who have had like worse injuries and they've come back in the same amount of time or less. And so, like at this point now, I'm getting like a little frustrated because it's like, is it me or is it them? Like, is the surgery okay? Like, I'm starting to have questions because I don't know what's going on. I'm not a doctor. Like, what I'm saying, I didn't study for that. I have no knowledge of that. Didn't study sports medicine or anything like that. So then finally, I'm moving well, I'm moving better, I'm jogging, like, and so I go into practice and I have a very good practice, my first practice. Obviously, I'm dying because I'm out of shape. I hadn't run up and down in like, months, like, you know what I mean? But I'm out there in practice, I'm making plays happen, I'm talking, I'm moving. So I'm like, oh shit, like, you know what I mean? Maybe I just had to wait. Maybe I'm just like, maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was just like, maybe I was being a little impatient. So I go through that first practice, boom. Go through the second practice, boom. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, all right, maybe he's gonna start playing again. And then January 8th hits, and they're like, hey, you know, and it's crazy because I'll never forget it. Like, you know what I mean? Like the GM and like the president and like they're standing there in the doorway and they're looking at me and they're watching me run and I'm kind of like looking at them like why are they watching me? Is it like a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Like I just know that they were just watching me the whole time. It's like everything else going on in practice, they're just looking at me. And so they call me over and they're like, hey, how do you feel? I'm like, I'm good. Like, what's up? Like, no, like you said, they're asking, like, your knees okay, no pain, like, you don't feel weird. I'm like, nah, like, you know what I mean? Like it's I mean, maybe because it's like, I just had surgery. Like surgery's traumatic. Like, you know what I mean? Like, of course something's gonna feel weird until like maybe a year after or something because your body has to get acclimated to going through a traumatic experience and then having that uh, trauma be healed through surgery and then through rehab. So once they were asking me those questions, I was just like, why? What's up? And they kind of just like, oh, just asking. I'm like, okay, that's not true. Like, you know what I mean? At this point, you're not just asking. Like, don't bullshit me. Like, just tell me how it is. Like, tell me what's up. So they wind up sending me to the training room, and I'm like, what's going on? The trainer closes the door. Like, they get all quiet. Like, how do you feel? They ask me the same questions. I'm like, what's going on? What's up? Like, you know what I mean? I never forget it because I just done laundry like in the gym. So I'm in there with my laundry bag. I'm like, bad, about to go fold these clothes. I'm having a good time. Like, I'm back. Like, I'm playing. They're like, yeah, we found another tear in your ACL. And I'm like, how does that shit even happen? Like, what do you mean you found another tear? Like, if like doesn't even make sense. It doesn't add up. Like, you know what I mean? So at this point, I'm just frustrated. Like, I'm like, yo, what, like, for all that, I could have just gone home. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you wanted to re-sign me because you told me that, like, you appreciate what I've done. I've played well. You would like to have me for another season. Like, just keep it a buck. Like, just keep it a just tell me what it is. Like at this point, like I'm a grown man. Like you, like obviously sometimes shit is bad, sometimes shit is good. Like, I've seen the ups and downs. I know what it's like. Like, just tell me. So I was more so upset that, like, when they were watching me in practice, like they could have told me before I went to the training room. Like they could have told me when they had first found out. And it's just like that was just like devastating because I was working back to play at least half of that season. Now I realize that I have to go through this whole process again, and I have to have surgery on the same knee that never fully recovered the first time. Now you have to go back in again and fix the same injury that was supposed to be done before. And I was just what? Like how? Like what are we doing here? Like, is this? Are we like? This doesn't seem professional to me now. Like, and it's like the other reason why I kind of felt like so pissed off is because it's like you feel like when people are being polite to you, but they're being nice to you, but they're not keeping it, 100. It's like I'd rather you just be an asshole and just like tell me like, yo, listen, your shit fucked up. Like, you know what I mean? Like we gotta go. Like, I'd rather you do that instead of you like, oh yeah, good day. Like, you know what I mean? Like pat you
Yeah,
on the back.
pretending everything's fine when it's really not.
Exactly. Like, just tell me what it is. So that's kind of how I felt like, at that moment in time. So I'm basically like, so once you have this discussion again, I'm like, listen, at this point, you need to help me now. Now you need to help me because I've been here, I've done my due diligence, I've been a good person, I've like, tried to help out the team in every way I can, like, and I don't want to have surgery at the same place. You need to send me to a professional doctor in Lisbon to like a place that has like, somebody who's done this before and like, they've had experience with this, and that's basically what happened. You know what I mean? So I remember, like, January 8th they brought me in, and February 24th I had that surgery. And it was just like, all right, here we go again. Like, you know what I mean? And so once I had the surgery, I had to go back. You know what I mean? Limping again, on crutches again, and it's just like it sucks to see, especially because during that season, that was the season when John Arledge and Mike Moe were on the same team. So I'd have been like, it's great. It would have been great to be on the court and like, competing against people that like, I used to go against in practice. Like, I remember when Mike Moe used to come back during the summertime and like, hoop against the younger players and like, keep that tradition going. So it would have been great to like, just be able to compete against those people and like, basically share that experience. And I felt like I was robbed of that, robbed of like, 2 seasons. And it's like now I have to like basically hit super rock bottom of like, having to be on crutches again, having to go back home. And like, I'm once I get through the airport, like, I have to basically take my time because I can't run, at this point. Like I can walk fluidly, but like I can't run anywhere. So I had to go home and find a rehab spot. And fortunately I found a great spot in Jersey. because one of my friends, Sterling Gibbs, he had tore his ACL as well. But he found a great spot in Jersey called Home Dell Physical Therapy, and like he put me on with the guy who did his rehab, Matt Holzer, and we were able to just kind of hit the ground running once I got there because I told him my story. So he was like, "Listen, man, I got you." Like, you know what I mean? And so that's kind of how the official rehab process started for me. And it was just a long journey, like a long journey, like those missing those 2 seasons, and then like still like watching people like because obviously like once you love the game, you don't stop watching it. You know what I mean? So now I'm home. I'm watching like college basketball. I'm watching NBA basketball, but I'm still checking in on like what my former teammates, and my friends are doing. I'm seeing them excel. I'm seeing like people go places and play well, and it's just kind of like you just sitting there like damn, like I wish that was like I wish I was out there, like you know what I mean. But then at the same time, you realize that like okay, now this is the time where you become smarter, you become wiser, you become more efficient with your time, and you learn how to actually like study and pay attention to your body and what it needs and things like that. So that's kind of like the best thing I was able to take away from this whole process. And now it's to the point where like I can easily like I know what days are going to be good days, like you know what I mean. I know what days are going to be bad days based off of how I prepare. And I've also now started, not now, but I've started not to allow myself to have bad days. Like, you know what I mean? Like, all preparation is done, all the work is being put in. So it's like, I'm happy to be back in Portugal. I'm happy that the team that I'm on, Ovarense, gave me an opportunity to showcase that, like, I can play again. I can play at a high level. I compete with, the top teams in the league as well as, like, the lowest teams. And it's just been a process. It's been a journey, and like I wouldn't change the journey for anything, but it's been one hell of a journey to go through.
Hello, and thanks for watching. Be sure to give the video a like, and you can watch more videos over here. You can also click subscribe over here so you're notified when we have new content here on Expat Hoops.